Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Salty Sweet Games, where we shenanigan, sob, and smooch our way through tabletop role-playing games. I am one of your hosts, Salty.
And I'm sweet.
And these various assorted spices are our friends. Hi, chaos has erupted behind the scenes. This is Masks of Nyarlathotep, our long-running pulp action meets cosmic horror campaign. Before we go around and meet everyone and their characters, I want to shout out our folks in chat, Cassiopeia and Hawk and Alexander for that sub. Cassiopeia has given everyone an eldritch gift to ease the sting of losing and maybe help out as we barrel towards the finale. Oh shit, look at that, more skill points for someone who was rolling their skill points right before we went live, so it's fitting. So if y'all want to go ahead and roll that up, and Hawk has given everyone vitamins, our rerolls. What is that, 10? I think it's 10 luck points,
10 luck,
babe.
It's 10 whatever I want.
Absolutely not. It's 10 luck points. Okay, got some good ones. We got skill points. We got our life preserver ability. Very nice. We got some temp HP, always appreciated. and some luck. Very, very nice. Excellent. So if someone can go ahead, make sure to mark off any rerolls y'all used on your investigator development phase. And we're gonna get into it. So before we focus on our darling players, we have some thank yous, some channel shout outs. Firstly, a ton of thanks to our sponsors, starting with Roll20, our virtual tabletop of choice, which unites gamers across any distance with easy to use tools that run straight from your web browser for free. We are part of their ambassador program, which highlights indie tabletop creators all across the interwebs. Yes, yes, yes. I'm wearing my 10-year anniversary shirt. It's super cute. It's a 10, and there are all sorts of things. There's an investigator on here with a tome. Makes me very happy. And yes. What else? Oh, yes. Thank you to our other sponsors, Dice Envy and Grinding Coffee Co. If you like your shiny math rocks, if you like your soaked bean energy juice. These are two awesome companies to get those things from. We have affiliate links and discount codes you can find in the panels below or in chat. They're great to work with. Check them out. Thank you to everybody who has subbed, tipped, followed, chatted, lurked, liked, commented on YouTube. We super appreciate it. One of the best things about having done this for so long, by the time we finish, it's gonna be, I think, 2.5 years, is like people finding stuff, finding the backlog on YouTube and commenting like, I really love this playthrough. I'm like, hell yeah, you do. We're not even done yet. It's always wonderful, wonderful to see. If you would like to support us further, there are tip incentives listed below that can seriously impact the game using bits or our Streamlabs tip jar. Just click the panel image, affect the game, or use !tip in chat. It'll take you right where you need to go. It is always appreciated, but never expected. Last thing, we here at Salty Sweet Games use safety tools, lines, veils, X, N, and O cards, stars and wishes, and content warnings because while the characters may be put through hell or facing a crushing defeat, the players are here to have fun, and they are our priority always. Without further ado, let's meet them. Kienna, introduce yourself and your character, please.
Hi, hello. I'm Kienna. I'm the speed of the channel. My pronouns are she and they, but today I am playing Irene Blackwell, whose pronouns are she and her. She's physically she's not doing great.
Not doing great.
Not doing so hot. Emotionally, she's been worse. I don't know. I'm just thinking about like emotionally having to deal with like your ex just suddenly showing up and stuff, and possibly a threat to your baby versus a temporary loss. Just time to move on to the next chapter.
Yeah.
Also, it's happily with her current paramour, and they're both alive. Could have been worse.
Could have been
worse.
Could have been worse. I like that sunny outlook. Speaking of sunny outlooks, Allison?
Hey, everybody, it's Allie. I played Ganymede Graves' adventure scientist, once the archetypical woman of the age of rationality and progress. Now she who surrenders to the madness to fight the madness. And, she's got just enough rationality left, though, to be able to look at the situation that we've just experienced and know exactly what went wrong. And what went wrong is Charles Rapp. And we're going to have to talk about that at some point during today's episode. I'm looking forward to it. I've been practicing my ranting in a terrible English accent all week. So I couldn't be more excited.
Aren't you glad you showed up, Summer? Aren't you glad you showed up?
I take offense to some of the things that were just said.
It makes me so happy because, like, Summer, Allie, and I are, like, constantly hanging out IRL. And this, I don't know, this tickles me. Summer, why don't you introduce yourself and your character?
I guess I will. Hi, I'm Summer. I use she, her pronouns today. I'm playing one Mr. Charlie Rapp who uses he, him pronouns. And I do not know how this can possibly be Charlie's fault. It's like, doesn't really seem like Charlie's fault to me. It seems like this was happening with or without our interference. And we saved a couple lives. So like, not too shabby. Like, could have been worse.
We saved a couple lives.
Listen, I did not. Okay, you know what? I'm attributing those saves to the group. But did I actually directly help? The answer is no. But I would like to, completely unrelated to everything happening right now, would just like to point out that I am a slacker, and I did just do my level up, right, for my characters. And I got a success on my mechanical repair skill, which I will remind you all was insane that I even got that when I got it the first time. But I got a success on it, and it was a 16. So I had to use a reroll for that fucking garbage. And then my medium, which was 95, I failed. In what? Why do I don't need that. But I'm glad I have it because my medium is fucked. It's high.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fun. Can't wait to see what happens today. I'm so great at not taking responsibility for my actions, so I can't wait.
Perfect. And last but not least, of course, is Tommy. Hi, Tommy.
Summer, that's what it's like to be me on Roll20 most days.
It's so true. It's so true.
Hi, hello, I'm Tommy. I play Zebulon Augustine Claiborne Montgomery III. We both use he, him. And Zeb's fine. Zeb's totally not maybe on death's door after this whole thing. He was a little banged up going in. He's a whole lot of banged up going out. But he's fine. All of his friends are still alive, so that's all that matters.
And isn't that the
Somehow.
definition of winning in this game?
Well,
I don't know if Jack Brady would agree, but he's not here right now. So who cares what he thinks? Me, I care. So, okay, let's get into it. If you are joining us for the first time or the first time in a long time, this motley crew is trying to stop an apocalyptic event from occurring. Their journey started when their good friend Jackson Elias was murdered for investigating the infamous Carlisle expedition, the members of which were all formerly presumed dead. Since then, they've uncovered a global conspiracy involving various death cults who all worship different aspects of the same eldritch god. Many names, many forms, but all the same and to one end. This has taken them from Peru to New York, England, Shanghai, Australia, back to Shanghai, and Egypt. The cults were working together to build a machine to tear open the sky, but our heroes stopped that part of the plan. However, the cults in Africa are still thriving and preparing for the great ritual on January 14th, 1926, 119 days from the morning of Thursday, September 17th, 1925. Last episode, as the ritual to resurrect the ancient pharaoh Nitocris proceeded, the investigators desperately tried to save their friends. Back to back, Ganymede and Zebulon fought the children of the Sphinx, neither willing to let the other fall. Irene focused on rescuing Nigel Wasif and James Gardner from a fate worse than death, and she succeeded at the cost of being magically racked by Henry Clive. Temporarily blind, she was flung into the leech pool, but managed to land on a shoal of bone. Charles rushed forward in an attempt to reach Agatha Broadmoor and Zara Shafiq, but he ran into a magical barrier, pounding his fists against it, and eventually, using all of his strength, he passed through. Unfortunately, despite the group's best efforts, Omar al-Shakti was able to complete the ritual, slicing Agatha Broadmoor's throat and offering her blood to revive Nitocris. Zara, at peace with her fate, took Nitocris' spirit into her body. Surprising the investigators, Nitocris, in part to honor Zara, or so she said, and in part to serve her own agenda, maybe, gave them an out and even directions to the final ritual site in Kenya. Defeated, the investigators ascended the processional steps into the Egyptian night, while the Brotherhood's celebration of their victory increased in fervor and horror. Now, you stand before the Great Sphinx of Giza in the dead of night with James Gardner, who has taken on the task of assisting Irene, whose vision is slowly returning. What would you like to do?
Okay, so we like just got out, basically.
Yeah,
right?
you've seen where you've emerged from the processional steps has been literally right at the base of the Great Sphinx.
Okay. Yeah, Charlie is not posy vibes right now. I think like he came up last, and is kind of just dragging his feet, like not really looking at anything in particular, not really talking to anyone. I think kind of hovering close to Irene, but is not like engaging directly with anyone. How does he look so hot? We'll never know how he looks this good after everything that's happened, but I just thought that was worth pointing out.
Sure.
Sad becomes him.
Yeah, James is got Irene's like arm over his shoulder, and he's kind of been whispering like small encouragements to you, Irene, as you go. He's not expecting any kind of response, but he like refuses to like lose grip on you.
Oh, buddy.
Ganymede, I think may have led the way, but once we're above ground, Zeb, she kind of turns to look you over just to see if there's anything that can be done immediately if you're in any immediate danger from your injuries.
I mean, Zeb's probably like he's obviously hurt. Like, did they bite us?
It was different for
Or did they claw us or some
kind of the
clawed and-
different animals, right? Like there were
Zeb
some
may have
that
been
seemed to
both bit and
claw.
clawed
Yeah,
at some point.
exactly.
So like Zeb's probably like he's probably at this point like torn up part of his shirt and is just like bandaged some of them and he's like, I'm all right, Yanny. Nothing a little dirt and time won't heal. He's very much not like he's not in great condition, but he's alive.
Yeah. I'm after looking you up and down. I say just to not to everyone, but no one in particular. We shouldn't stay here. We should go back to the hotel, gather our things as quickly as we can. Make for Cairo and the coast.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We should make sure to check in with our associates before we head out, make sure everyone got out all right. And just make sure that they know what kind of went down here tonight.
Yes.
Everybody except Irene can go ahead and make a spot hidden.
No, not my one skill that I do all the time.
Nice. So all of you can see kind of in the distance from Mycerinus's pyramid, two figures heading your way. And as they approach, you can make them out as Salim and Nigel Wasif. Salim holds up an arm and waves at you when he recognizes you. And they pick up their pace as much as Nigel can.
Ganymede is moving in that direction
Mm-hmm.
already. If Zeb needs help, she'll help him, but he wants to keep moving.
Zeb will be fine. He sort of just
Okay.
it's like I'll be fine. Maybe I'll be a little slow, but I'll be fine, Candy. Thanks, though.
So the two groups converge. Salim is kind of instantly checking in with those of you who appear more injured than others. Shall we go to the hospital or the hotel? I thought it might be days before I saw you again, and then Nigel emerged from where you had gone in, and we weren't sure what to do. I wanted to go and get help, and then we saw you. Fortuitous.
Yes. Fortuitous.
Yeah, I think we're just head back to the hotel for right now. I can probably use a small drink.
Nigel says, "You've read my mind, dear boy. Although I don't think any of us should stay long here or anywhere near Cairo. When they're done, if they find us again, it would go poorly."
That's our plan.
All right. So the group of you head back to Mina House Hotel. It's pretty deserted. Even the late night crowd has retired for the evening. And there's nothing up here to really indicate, what's happening. You all carry it with you, but otherwise things seem peaceful. Let's have another spot hidden for funsies. Nice. It's
Zeb at this
interesting.
point is starting to struggle. He's just like, oh man, oh boy, I think the adrenaline's wearing off. Oh boy. I'm gonna need that. Do we have alcohol? Does Zeb know
In
if
the
we have alcohol
car?
in the
Yeah,
in the hotel
y'all
room?
had it pretty set up. You have no idea what Mahmood was ordering when you left him. So there's probably stuff upstairs. If not, you can grab things from the bar. It's interesting, however, that Charles is the one who notices him first. A man, bespectacled, older, kind of grain hair Egyptian, looks kind of a mess. But this man is in kind of one of the lobby areas, maybe near the bar, if y'all are heading that direction, and he is watching you. He stands up kind of suddenly, and clears his throat. Charles,
Yeah.
you've never seen this man before, but Ganymede, you certainly have. This is Dr. Ali Kafour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wish granted.
Yes.
And he starts rushing towards you.
Charlie's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Somebody rushing towards them after everything they've just been through is never like
Yeah. Yeah.
positive
Yeah. And honestly, I think Ganymede probably is a little bit as well on her guard. And maybe only semi-consciously positions herself in front of Zeb as Dr. Kafour is running toward us.
Mm-hmm. And Irene, you hear his familiar voice. Like I said, your vision is returning to you. It's just a bit of a slow process. My friends, you're, well, not well, but alive.
As are you, Doctor.
Yes.
I'm glad for it.
When I made my escape, I just kept a low profile, but I knew. I hypothesized you put yourself in danger this evening, of all evenings, and I've been staying with your friends on this ship. We should, in fact, head to Port Said, have a car.
I'm gonna need to slow down just a little bit, Dr. Kafour.
all right.
I'm gonna need to take care of this real quick.
We can do some of that in the car. Zebulon, I think. I think we should hurry.
Of course, yep. I mean, just let's just grab our stuff and, well, I don't have too much, but while you're grabbing yours, I'll see what I can do. There you go.
Yeah,
Would you care to join us, Doctor?
Yes, can you tell me? It's obvious you've witnessed something. Were you at the heart of it? Of whatever
Well,
happened tonight?
That's one way to put it. And as much as you were right about your hypothesis about us being in danger tonight, I think you'll be somewhat happy to hear that you were right about a lot of things.
You feel kind of his hand on your shoulder. I'm sorry I was.
And I think Irene just like kind of pats his hand. I have a lot to show you and tell you, but that might be a on the way type thing.
Certainly.
A lot of information.
Yes, speed. And you all head up to the suites. Mahmood is, like, passed out, snoring, taking up the whole king-size bed. There's, like, half-eaten food. And Nigel and Salim go over to, like, gently wake him up. Which he is reluctant to do. But when he does, you see like his eyes light up and he hugs Nigel, and the three of them start conversing rapidly in Arabic. As the rest of you pack up your things, yes?
Yeah, for sure. Gotta get the fuck out of here.
Great.
Yep.
Zeb doesn't have much to pack for what, but he adds to it. He finds any liquor bottles that still have liquor in it. He's like drinking one as he's packing the other.
No glass, just
No
straight
glass,
out.
just straight from the bottle.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I think Irene had made sure that like done introductions between James and Dr. Kafur and just kind of made sure everyone was on the same page as
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
I
What's
like
happening?
to imagine that we're all very dusty.
Sure.
oh, we're so
Very,
dusty.
very grimy.
Yeah.
So Charlie's gonna change out of the clothes that he was wearing and like kind of wash off, like not like full like shower or anything, you know, but like get kind of cleaned up. Charlie is not much better off than Zeb. I just think it's very different types of injuries.
Yeah.
He got blasted by lightning or like pushed by lightning one time, and then was just, from everything else that happened, was just not in a good shape. But yeah, so I think that as he's like changing, like stripping off his shirt, you would see like he's bruised to fuck. Like,
Yeah.
not a pretty sight.
Yeah, if you definitely your outfit has like scorch marks along
Yeah.
the front. And I think even as you're like washing this off, you kind of flash back to how close that was to being the end. Like
Yeah.
whatever grace it was that protected you from the full force of Omar al-Shakti's magic, you'll never know, but luck was on your side in that moment. But you can still see how close it was.
Yeah, not pretty. Like I imagine like kind of like burn marks almost.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm realizing all of our injuries are very different. I got shot several times.
Yes,
I got shot at.
Yes, you got shot at.
And I couldn't move, so you know I got shot several times.
Yes, along with some of that same lightning, so you have kind of similar scorch marks upon your body and your eyes and your hands. I think James will offer. Can I assist you, Miss Blackwell?
You don't have to, but
I would. It would be my honor.
all right.
And he's very like gentle. He wets a clean rag and kind of like around your face. Like he always like warns you. He kind of narrates what he's doing so you're not surprised as he kind of cleans some of that almost like pus away. And you're slowly like making out features of him. When he touches your hands though, those still feel like raw and weak. But he's very gentle about it. Ganymede, I think the only injuries you sustained were from some kind of distant shrapnel. Like you might have a few cuts and scrapes.
Yeah. Yep,
So-
that's right.
What are you doing? What's Ganymede's mood as she's packing?
I'm packing quickly and very quiet. In fact, I think I'm far and away the first one done, and I'm waiting, and I'm getting more obviously impatient with each moment that passes, and I have not yet made eye contact with Charlie since the fight started, since the battle began. And I think in Ganymede's mind, she's just very focused on getting moving, getting out, getting away. And she's using that urgency to avoid dealing with any of the other things that all of this is bringing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Charlie said 2 words to anyone since they left. Like, I don't think he said jack shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you finish up and head downstairs, Nigel with Salim and Mahmoud says, I have my own means of exiting gracefully. It's been a while since I've been back to jolly old England. Could show Salim and Mahmoud the sights. Mr. Gardner, would you care to join us? He kind of looks back and forth. He seems reluctant to let go of Irene's hand.
Yeah, and I think it's Irene who like takes his hands and like very like because her hands are so blistered, very gently like pats it. I'll be okay. I've got the others, and I think you'll be safer with the others here. And we've got friends in England too.
Will you be all right? And though you can only make this out a bit, he definitely casts a glance at Charles. Just for drama.
Damn, okay. Yeah, she kind of catches this, but she doesn't quite get the meaning of it because you can't see the full level of expression. I think we'll be, I think we'll make it through. She didn't want to say that. We're going to be okay. She didn't want to make that promise.
Yeah. He, you see him kind of, as he does release your hand, he gives you a bow, a very kind of formal bow. And Nigel says, so, where are you headed off to next? I want to write ahead in case I have any friends in the vicinity.
That would be greatly appreciated if you had anyone in Kenya.
Oh, I meant to warn them not to. Anyway, yes, Kenya. I have a, well, don't know if I'd call her a friend, Natalie, at the Nairobi Star, if you're headed to Nairobi. She's a good egg. If you need help, no better port in a storm. And she's, well aware of all this. You and she may have some things in common, Mr. Rapp. Anyway, well, we're off.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, I'd say it was nothing, but it was.
No, it certainly was something. If you run into Mickey, tell him that we say hello.
Oh, yes, that will be. We haven't been in a room together since. Well, that's between Mickey and myself.
And all 200 of Mickey's closest friends, I'm sure, Nigel.
He winks at you. And he
nevertheless,
also.
She says, nevertheless, the cottage at St. Hilda's is yours, should you need a quiet place to settle for a while.
I appreciate it. He says, if you see Miss Cowles, please do give her my best. And he also turns to Irene and kind of mimics James's bow to her with a little more flair, but no less heartfelt, as they head off to another area to make their exit. So, Dr. Kafur will shuffle you off to Port Said as soon as the first train leaves the station, probably very early in the morning. And you can see it. Ganymede Graves, you can see it in the port. The Daring.
As it comes into view, it becomes harder to hold back the hurt and the anger, but unless anyone's paying very close attention, you'd have no idea she is British after all. You would just see the muscles in her jaw flex a bit as she clenches her teeth and stifles it.
If Zeb
And-
wasn't slightly inebriated, he might. But
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine Charlie doesn't notice. I cannot imagine he doesn't notice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Him and Ganny are
Yeah.
good friends. I think that
Yeah.
he notices, and he knows that it's directed at him.
Yeah.
But he is not saying anything about it.
Yeah.
I think he's just kind of waiting for that cork to pop, you know? He's not saying anything yet, though. He's
The
not going
funny
to
thing
invite
about
that
all-
upon himself right now.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Irene would normally notice this type of stuff and would have headed it off, but she can't see shit. I don't know what. She's just very blissfully unaware, other than, like, I can sense there's some tension between who I don't know.
Something is in the air, but I can't tell going in what direction. Yeah.
Yeah. As we come into the station, I don't know. I think you see a bit of a different Ganymede. She's kind of sliding back into that role that she filled for so many years before any of you but Zeb knew her. She's coming home. She's coming back to her ship and her crew and her captain, her grandfather. She's the first officer, though she's been gone for some time, and she has certain standards to uphold. And so, her sea bag is slung over her shoulder. I think her weapon is it's slung as well, but it's out. It's not hidden as it would perhaps normally be under these circumstances. And she's standing pretty tall and has her officer's cap on, although that's the only piece of uniform that she's wearing, but it's a kind of a jaunty tilt as she heads toward the slip where the Daring is docked, and comes up to meet whoever it is, whatever crew member is at the. Usually there would be at least one member of the crew at the bottom of the gangplank.
Yeah, who's there?
I think it's probably the bosun, Tommy Tompkins, who's known her since she was a child and helped to raise her, and just a big lunk of a guy who's been at sea his whole life, and so as she comes up, he comes to attention and salutes.
Yeah.
And she salutes back. Permission to come aboard, Mr. Tompkins?
You see this big guy, not like, you can see him swell as he sees you, because when you saw your friends and family at the beginning of Egypt, you did not see the Daring as maybe you would have expected to. And, you grew up with these people. They are your family. And there's pride and relief and emotion that he kind of, stiff upper lip, but you know it. You know it's there. And you can all board. Ganymede, I would love it if you would take us on a brief tour of the Daring.
Oh, I would love to. The Daring is a converted freighter. It belonged to His Majesty's Royal Navy in the years leading up to the Great War, and was refitted to be an exploration vessel and donated to the League of Nations after the war to support scientific and anthropological and archaeological exploration around the world. But as the League of Nations kind of began to dissolve, there was no home for this ship. And so Ganymede's grandfather, Sir Edmund Graves, sold his family estates in England and purchased the ship himself. And so now it operates as an independent ship of exploration, and it's kind of a beacon of science and reason. It's known by scientists all over the world. It is kept. Her grandfather is a lifelong Royal Navy veteran, so it is kept ship shape and Bristol fashion at all times. It is clean and polished, and she doesn't show her age unless you know exactly where to look. And so it's polished teak and sturdy deck plates and floorboards and white paint all around. And her crew is a mix of able seamen, people who operate the ship, and scientists, people who use it as a home base for scientific exploration and research around the world. So this is her home, and she leads us. I think she leads us to it's morning at this point, right? We've been on the train for a couple of hours, and so in the early morning, the port is busy all the time, but it's especially busy this time of day. And so she knows exactly where her grandfather will be. He'll be on the bridge. And so she leads the group straight there, up 2 flights of stairs and around to the near to the bow of the ship where the bridge is, and stands in the doorway and salutes and says, Lieutenant Graves reporting for duty, sir.
Yes, your grandfather turns around and very perhaps unlike him, he turns the bridge over to whoever would be next in line when you're not there, and immediately just strides towards you and puts his hands on your shoulder and squeezes. He doesn't say anything. You see him start to say things a few times, but words are not his area. So he squeezes your shoulders, kind of brushes you off, and says, the rest of your companions are gathered. Dr. Kafur said he would find you. And it appears he has done so. And he nods to Dr. Kafur. And it's in this kind of moment as he touches you and the sun is up, you feel that kind of chill that's been at the nape of your neck since Memphis lift. Whether that's just timing or if it's being back here, in a place of great comfort. You're not sure, but the curse that Omar al-Shakti placed on you is lifted.
I'm so glad. That was so vexing.
Devious.
Yeah, he's maybe about to try to say something more, and he sees her lip quiver in a way that he hasn't seen since she came aboard at 8 years old and left her home behind, still mourning the loss of her parents. And I think it just takes them both, like they're both right back at that moment. It wasn't far from here. It was at the head of the Suez Canal, where she met them, and the weight of all of that is here. But it's also comforting in a certain way. And so she sniffs and swallows and says, "Officer's mess, I presume?"
He nods.
And she turns back to the others and says, "It's just this way, the deck down." And she'll lead the way there.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, when you enter the mess, you can hear it first, and smell food and tea, and just you hear that chatting. I mean, you recognize the voices right away. Annabelle's sings out over everyone. She's gabbing. And when you throw open the doors, you see Beatrix Oakley, Frankie and Annabelle, and of course John Craig. And they all kind of stop what they're doing, look over at the group of you, and immediately are like up, and like Frankie and Annabelle head straight over to Zeb, who looks an absolute mess. Annabelle, between Zeb and Ganymede, John runs over to Ganymede right away. I mean, all of you are kind of swept up. Annabelle is definitely clocks Charles because he wasn't with you when she saw you at the beginning of Egypt. But it's kind of just a cacophony of noise and Southern accents and British accents just assailing you. Yeah, what do you... Take it away. Take it away.
I imagine that Seb's definitely getting, as you're saying, swarmed by his sisters. He's like trying to get like, I'm all,
What is
no,
this? It
no.
looks like someone pecked you, Zebulon.
You know, it's about what happened.
You got attacked by a bird?
A very large one, yes.
Mm.
Very, very large. They have very large birds here. Did you know that?
No, we haven't had much time for sightseeing. We have been confined to the ship because, you know, we were attacked in a hotel
That's
room.
probably for the best. The animals were a little bit out of control here in Egypt. Yeah. I'm glad to see y'all are doing okay.
Frankie's gonna, like, literally pull you down to, like, a chair and continue, like, looking you over. What is that? Looks like a gator bit you.
Yep, big gators here.
Yeah, so she, like, goes on cataloging, like, what's this? What's this?
Just like, they got some... There's Zoo. There was a zoo, and
You went to a zoo? You went sightseeing while we've been stuck on here?
Well,
I mean, it's very nice. It is very nice, but
it wasn't that kind of zoo.
utter confusion. Annabelle kind of pulls you down, Ganymede. I mean, you look the best physically.
Yeah.
But they obviously notice something's off.
Yeah.
Dr. Kafur seats you, Irene. Is like, would you like tea?
Tea sounds lovely.
Good, good. And he'll pat you on the shoulder. And you can hear him like nearby throwing something together.
Like Irene's just hearing all this chaos, and it's just like, I'm happy for all my friends. I'm just gonna sit here quietly and
Yep.
just vibe out.
Yeah. No one approaches Charles.
Yeah, if y'all remember when we got to Egypt and everyone had this big reunion and Ava just didn't know anyone and she kind of like backed away. It's like that exact same vibe. Like it's like a mirror image of that scene of Charlie just kind of backing away because he's in grief. Like he is not okay. And like he's so happy that his friends get to see their friends and family again, but he is just like everything that he has lost personally is just like sitting on him, like just this weight.
Yeah.
And so he just is like, he literally can't engage with it. So he just backs away from the whole situation. It's just a lot to handle.
I think Annabelle, even as she's like talking with John and Ganymede, like keeps looking at you, Charles. Like you can see she wants to come to you, but sees that you're, I don't know, she's not sure if you're closed off, if you don't want to be talked to, or but she said like she sees it. She sees you.
Yeah, and I think after Irene is like sat down and she's just kind of gained her bearings a little bit, I think she does sort of kind of reach her hand out, looking for Charlie, just trying to just kind of see his blur of color and shape here.
Yeah, he's probably not like too far away, right? Like he's a couple steps behind you, but what if he sees Irene reaching out, he'll kind of step into that space.
Yeah.
So that she can easily like, you know, he's still right there. And we'll just kind of put his hand on her shoulder, just reassuringly like, yeah, I'm still here, you know.
Yeah, and I think that she just like places her hand on his and she doesn't say anything, but she just holds it.
There's, you know, most of the kind of chattering away is continuing. And then who is it? I think it's Frankie. Oh, we got a message from your friend. We heard back.
From Mr. Brady.
Yes, that's it, right? Did I get it right? Brady, yes. And she like walks, like there are a couple of like newspapers and things on the table, and like she's like picking stuff up. It looks like they've kind of made this their area aboard this scientific vessel, and it's a bit of a mess. But she pulls it out. Yes. There is a word in here that I do not know how to say or what it is, but I will read it to you. Ritual worked. Second try. And then there's a dash. Shogoth? Shogoth. Sure.
Shoggoth, Frankie.
Shoggoth? What is a Shoggoth? I don't know what that is or why I'd be expected to know it. I know most words too. Shoggoth situation. Ritual worked second try dash Shoggoth situation. Whatever that means. Headed to coordinates in Australia. And then there's Latin. And I unfortunately do not speak Latin.
What is it, dear?
I'm just going to hand it to you.
I take it from her.
It is the same thing that you sent to the daring, which they sent on Spes est numquam mori. Let hope never die. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
Well, some good news.
oh, good. Shoggoth's good.
No, but the fact that Jack was able to send a telegram after the situation means that it didn't kill any of them, so. And more importantly, the ritual has been completed there on Grey Dragon Island.
Great. I don't know what that is or where it is, but it sounds like a good thing.
Yes. Yes, it is. We've
Oh, Australia. Speaking of Australia, where is the little blonde cutie? Where's Miss Cowles?
She had some other business to attend to. So we've split up for the moment.
Okay. She looks a little disappointed. Like she was like
Yeah.
looking forward to getting to
Uh-huh.
to talk to Ava again. But she takes it in stride as she always does. I think Annabelle will make her way over during Frankie's dramatic reading. Will make her way over to Irene and Charles. You're back.
I think it would like take him a second to register that she was talking
Yeah.
to him directly.
She hasn't done that for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he would just kind of nod a little bit once he kind of registers that. So it would seem.
They said, well, I don't really remember what y'all said, but I thought you'd been lost.
Most lost things turn up eventually. It's good to see you.
You too. And you, Miss Blackwell. Are you all right? Do you need medical attention?
I've already had some. It'll go away soon.
What happened? Dr. Kafur. Well, he thought y'all might be in danger, and he thought it would be easiest to just go himself and not draw too much attention. All of us wanted to come.
Well, the people that attacked us at the hotel, they escalated their operations. We tried to confront and stop them. And we were lucky to get out alive. We I think she looks at Charlie. We did lose a friend in there. But it's thanks to her we were able to be here.
She looks back at Charles and just, yeah, she just looks, and you can tell she doesn't know all the details, but she can feel the weight of it. I'm gonna fetch someone, y'all. I know you're tough, but I think y'all could use some help.
Ganymede's watching the interaction between Annabelle and Charlie very closely.
Yeah.
I don't think she knows it. I don't think Ganymede knows it, but she's looking for an excuse. She's just looking for an excuse.
Totally.
Yeah, I think Charlie just kind of says, much appreciated.
Yeah, and she'll walk past and go to fetch someone who on board Ganymede would be the best to tend to physical wounds.
Oh,
Besides
yeah,
yourself,
there
I
is.
mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of just some basic first aid stuff, but there is a ship's doctor and I think probably a nurse. The crew is international, so perhaps this doctor is Cuban, and has been with the crew for some time. So that's probably who she grabs to come help out.
Nice. Yeah, and they will do so. So this kind of, I think it kind of happens here, in the mess, or they can take, one at a time, kind of, to the medical bay. But everyone, we'll start off with 3 hit points back. Huzzah. As the worst of your wounds are kind of patched up. Although they are not sure what to do with some of the more strange things. The scorch marks are odd to them because they don't look like from traditional fire, you know what I mean? And Irene's hands, they can't really pin down why they're like that, why it seems like they were hurt from the inside out. But the scrapes and cuts they can handle, and they patch you up as kind of basic conversation continues. Into the day.
As all of this is going on, I will make my way to the bridge and to my grandfather, and begin to set up our voyage to probably Mombasa, I'm imagining, which is
Exactly.
on the coast. And this is that homecoming, right? Because it's through the Suez Canal and around the Horn of Africa, down to Mombasa on the East Coast. But I'll do what needs to be done to get that set up so we can get on our way, and eventually then make my way back down to where the others are.
Yeah, traveling to Mombasa will take you 5 days. From there, if you're heading inland, you'll probably want to go to Nairobi, which will take close to a day. But many of you will need longer than this time if you wish to fully recover. So how much time you want to spend before you hit Nairobi is up to you. I just need to know that for your hit points. And of course,
I think that we're going to, if not fully heal up, because many of us are very low, at least get beyond halfway.
Sure.
I think that's wise enough, because it was a bad idea to go into the last fight with.
I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was the best idea for me. It was a great idea for me.
I think why we wouldn't just stay at sea as long as it took for us to recover.
Well,
right?
let me remind you. Yeah. Let me remind you. The demon Wu told you the mythos carvings in the bent pyramid described the birth of a child of Nyarlathotep to take place at the Mountain of the Black Wind, which you now know how to get to thanks to Nitocris/Zara. And this event will take place sometime around what humans call All Hallows Eve or Samhain. Whether it's now, interestingly, in 1925, Samhain is on a full moon. So if you are keeping in step with everything, you could probably surmise this birth will take place either the new moon before or after, whatever you want to hedge your bets on. But that is about a month away. The new moon before is a month away from where you are currently. Again, it's only going to take you like a week at most to actually get to Nairobi. But whenever it is, this child, this spawn, is somehow essential to the great ritual. You, as in this group here, also discovered that the last member of the Carlisle expedition, Hypatia Masters, was pregnant before supposedly being murdered in Kenya. Ava Cowles, your former companion, knows something rather different, but she is not here to tell you that. So that's what you're working with. So week of travel to actually get into Nairobi proper. From there to the mountain. I think it's almost like a homing beacon. Like you know where to go, but you don't know how long it's going to take you to get there. You'd have to kind of actually measure it out. And
I think Zeb has the most healing to do. How many points you have left?
Was it 2 a day?
Yeah, it's 2 a day.
So I'd be up to 21 after the week of travel. And then 31's my total, so 5 more days. Could we maybe do like an actual vacation with the people who came? How long do we have till the ritual? What is it, January?
Yeah, the ritual, the great ritual, is 119 days away.
Would 10 days be terrible, everybody?
Not as long as we can. Not as long as
before we dock.
Get to.
I mean, it still gives us time before the first new moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think that's just right. I think that's a great idea.
Even if we have to book it, like once we're in Kenya, like even if we have to really book it, I'm fine with us hustling to get to the spot. and take those extra 5 days so that everyone can be, because that'll put me at full, that'll put everyone at full, because Zeb's the most injured, has the longest way to go to recovery, because I only have 20 max hit points, so it's gonna take me not long at all. 6 days.
It's September 17th today. The next new moon is October 17th.
Right.
So if that's when you think the ritual is taking place, like, and also you don't have to plan to go on. You can go before if you wish.
Right.
We could just go on, these people who came here for vacation and then got put back on a ship.
Yeah, just give a
Some
little bit of
sightseeing.
downtime space for everybody.
And this, this time would probably be good not just for your physical health, but your mental health as well.
Yes.
That will that we talk about, that will to fight.
Yeah.
So we're thinking
10 days before we dock.
10 days before you dock in Mombasa. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so nothing is going to come aboard the ship that you know of anyway. But so you can all take those 10 days and regain 20 hit points.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So that is the hit point
Yes.
you will be at when you dock in Mombasa. Also,
Most HP I've had in a while.
right. I'm
Oh,
also giving you all 1d6 sanity back because it's the daring. It is a haven.
Did we get luck points back?
You did. You got 10.
I'm at
Take me
max.
back almost to full again.
I don't understand how Irene just has the will to fight is just so deep in her.
I was at my max sanity before that roll.
Okay,
like I don't
so
even need to
yeah,
roll.
Yeah, you don't gain anything.
It's only 52. So
Yeah.
Let me go find that quote again.
my max sanity is
Ganymede the
52.
only one who's like really dipped into
Yeah,
her
she's casting the magic. So
Ah, true.
Yeah.
it
Okay, now we have Charles. We can start using Charles.
it enacts a cost.
Yeah, but I don't do those crazy barrier spells and that type of shit.
We can teach you.
What? We can beat you. That's perfectly fine.
So is there anything else? Anyone y'all want to talk to? If you want to talk together, over this time, I know there is a confrontation to be had. I am interested in seeing what it looks like and how we move past it, because you're going to need each other if you want to survive the final chapter and stop the apocalyptic event from occurring.
I guess it's mostly just, hey, Charlie, do you want to have a nice moment with Irene before this or after this? Because that's the major choice here right now that I can think
And
of.
then Zeb's gonna chat with Ganymede, but that's also the question: is does Zeb do it
Before or after?
After.
I think it's after for Zeb.
I love it's like the two mediator characters just being like,
Hey.
How you doing? But
Ganymede.
I think Zeb's is after the big whatever comment.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to know, Ganymede, when do you take the living flame back from Charlie? Do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would have given it back by now.
Yeah,
Right?
probably.
That might be the
Directly?
moment then.
Directly to Ganymede?
Maybe that's the moment then, is when that's going to happen. We could kind of zoom in on that moment, because
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that, Summer, if you are.
Yeah, maybe like after dinner, like after that, like that first. I feel like it's early, right? Like I
Okay.
feel like it's that like first
Yeah.
day or so. Because I in my head, Charlie is not gonna let Ganny fester on the feelings that she's feeling. He's gonna approach her about how she's feeling.
yeah.
And not let it sit for too long, because even though she's not happy with him, to say the least. He really cares about her and her friendship, and so he's not going to let that sit longer than need be. So I think if they have, a moment that evening, like later that evening, Charlie would.
Is everyone around, or are the two of you alone?
No, I'm not gonna.
Yeah. No, I think
don't
we're
think it's
probably
gonna
alone.
Be, yeah, I don't
Okay,
think it's gonna be a massive.
it's on the deck then.
Yeah.
Little nook.
Kim and Irene are just like off to the side, just I don't know, doing something else when this is happening.
Yeah. It's after dinner, and maybe Charlie's gone out onto the deck to smoke or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And Ganymede's, after a full day mostly now, and we're out of port, we're at sea and moving, and she is, this is as comfortable a place as she has anywhere in the world, and she has authority here, right? She's respected and she has power here, and so as after a couple of minute or two after Charlie has gotten up to leave, she excuses herself from her seat at the table and steps out onto the through the door and out onto the deck to track him down.
Yeah. This is the first time he's had cigarettes in a minute, because Irene was holding on to his cigarettes previously.
Yeah, gave away those cigarettes for the bride, but still had his lighter.
Yeah, still has, well, and he has his shit too now. Like, he was separated from all of his, you guys had his luggage at the very least. All of his like stuff on his person is gone, but or that was on his person when he left, but his luggage, I think, had an extra pack that he like dug out of the bottom. Yeah, like maybe like only a couple cigarettes left, but yeah, he's just kind of like out on the deck. I think too, like Charlie has been really like he hasn't really been on his own. Like he hasn't been by himself. I think that's like mostly what that was about, it's just finally seeing the excuse to be like, Irene is settled, she's okay, she's with people, and for him to get up and just kind of like take a second on his own. Yeah, so he's just like out on the deck, kind of like leaning up against the rail, enjoying a cigarette.
And Ganymede strides up. Her boots are loud on the deck as she does. And as she gets close, she just calls you, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, he heard her coming, obviously. I think he just looks over his shoulder at Ganny, and you can see like he's like visibly upset. Has done like an okay job at hiding just how upset he is, but like it's very apparent on his face like how like in a what rough shape he is emotionally.
And she's all business as she comes up to you and she says, generally speaking, we British prefer to keep cordial relations with those that we've invited into our homes. This is as much of a home as I've ever had, and so I think if we're going to spend the next 10 days in such close proximity, it would be wise to get a few things out of the way.
I think the longer into that sentiment that you got, the more he just started smiling, because it's very Ganymede, and that just reminded me of like the first time that they met, really, at that bar so long ago. So long-winded. Yeah, and he kind of straightens up a little bit. You can yell at me if you want to.
yell at you. Yell at you. Charles, what do you think this is? You're not a schoolboy. This is not some schoolboy's game. This is life or death, Charles, and not just for the people that we care about. And I for one am not going to allow Zebulon or Irene to risk their lives for the sake of your on again, off again integrity. And I frankly don't very much care that you would have been willing to do it on your own. You should know by now that that's not how any of this works. When you make a decision like that, a decision to walk into certain death, you make it for all of us. And if you're not willing to make it with all of us from this point forward, then... And she kind of looks you up and down and says, well, then I'm not quite sure what to do with you.
This is just because they were my people, right? You don't give a shit because they were my people. They weren't your people. You don't care that I lost my people because you still have yours, Ganny. Mine are dead, and I'll never see them again. But if it had been your people, I would have gone in with you, and I wouldn't have said shit afterwards. Because that's what we do for each other. We make sacrifices. I won't be made to feel bad for going in after my people. So if you want me to apologize, I can't do it. I had to try. I had to try. And I said, you don't have to come with me. And I know that that's not how it works, right? But why should I feel bad that you all chose to make that sacrifice with me and come in with me to try and save my people? And we lost. We failed. I failed. I was right there, Ganny. I was right there.
She's lowered her chin and is... the look on her face is cold. Charles, love and fear are both the enemies of reason. And we have reached a stage of this effort at which we must rely upon reason to guide us. The choices we are going to be called upon to make are terrible. We may hold the lives of those we love in one hand and the lives of the world in the other, the future of humanity.
Look me in the eyes and tell me that if it had been Annabelle, you would have walked away for reason. Look me in the eyes and fucking say it to me, Ganymede. That reason would have won out if it had been her. And then you can walk back down there and you can say it to her face that you will choose reason over her. If that's what you believe, then by all means, put your money where your mouth is, Ganymede.
She turns on her heel. She's so angry. And she takes a couple of steps away, and then she turns back around and she steps up closer than she was before. And she says, "Someday, Charles, you're going to have to forgive yourself for being the one who lived."
He just shakes his head, kind of like leans back against the rail.
She looks out at the horizon for a moment and then "You're right, of course. I don't know that I could make that choice. But Charles, I know that there's between daring and hubris, there is a very fine line. It's going to take all of our best judgment to ensure that we stay on the prop side.
Hopefully it comes as a comforting thought to you, Ganny, that I won't have the opportunity to make a decision like that again.
She was ready to de-escalate. She's like, "Bloody hell, Charles, Irene is 20 feet away."
I can't talk that woman out of coming with us. I don't have a
No.
choice in the matter when it comes to her involvement in this entire situation. That moment has long since passed. And yes, I will do everything in my power to make sure that she and I both make it through to the other side. But as far as sacrifices go, I've made all of mine.
That frightens me for you, Charles.
I'll be fine.
She's quiet for a moment. You were so close.
Yeah, that was right there.
There was nothing more we could have done.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, I do.
I only left to try and save her. And now I'm wondering if I had just stayed and waited. Would things have been different? Could I have saved her if I hadn't gone earlier? And I just don't know.
Those are well-trodden pathways in your mind, aren't they?
The only benefit of my going was that she knew.
No small thing.
No, I guess not. Doesn't matter much in the end.
I think it mattered a great deal to her.
I don't really know where she is. I don't really know if she died. Or if she's trapped in there. That bothers me. It bothers me that I didn't ask before we left. But it can't change what's happened now.
After all that we've experienced in this last year, Charles, I'm not sure that that's true. Who knows what might be possible if we succeed.
It's not really how things should work, though. Not that I don't want to change things, but it's not really how things should work. It's not how the world should be.
I suspect that if we knew the truth of it all, Charles, that we would find many things that don't harmonize with our beliefs about how the world should be. Perhaps it's a mercy that they're revealed to us slowly, one at a time. Hope has gotten us this far, Charles. Perhaps if we hold on to it a bit longer.
Yeah, he nods a little bit and kind of turns to like look back out at the water. I think his cigarette is mostly like burned down.
Yeah.
You should get back to them.
Yes. And as they turn in that direction, she says, you know, I don't believe that I've told you yet how glad I am to have you back, Charlie.
I know.
And she, if he'll allow it, she'll put her arm through his, and if she'll allow it, or if he'll allow it, she'll even kiss him on the cheek. Out there alone on the deck before they walk back together.
Yeah.
All right, and time passes on your journey, and before we end, I'd like to go to moments with Ganny and Zeb and Irene and Charles. Kind of little vignettes that we can expand upon, but I'd like to know kind of where they are with each other as we make for our last chapter.
I think finally, after all this fucking time, Irene and Charlie are sharing a room together.
Hey!
So I think it's probably just it's late at night. It's getting to around bedtime. You know, Irene had finished her conversation and stuff for the night. And Charlie had probably made his way back.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just been waiting for him. And I think that she has a pencil in her hand. But it's not held, between fingers. It's almost held as if in a fist because she can't hold on to it either way. And she's just kind of idly trying to draw, but it's not coming out as anything other than wobbly lines.
Yeah. Charlie just kind of comes over. How's it going?
Yeah, feels like I'm 5 all over again.
It's only temporary.
And I think that she'll pat. She's probably sitting on the bed, and she pats just next to her.
Yeah, he sits down beside her.
Are you okay?
Hard to say. Yes and no. I'm sure I will be, though.
I'm sorry about Zara. I know she was important to you.
I'm sorry, too. I wish things that had turned out a different way. But I did the best that I could under the circumstances. Just wasn't quite enough.
Well, it keeps us going forward. And I'll be here, whether you're okay or not.
Yeah, he smiles a little. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
I think we should finally go to bed.
Yeah, he just kind of laughs a little bit.
Yeah. And they'll retire for the night.
Let's pan the camera over to Ganymede and Zeb. Where do we find the two of you?
I think that, Tommy, if this is okay with you, I think that Annabelle and John Craig have been sleeping in a stateroom. There's only one or two, but they're bigger rooms with for important guests that are aboard, and a little more space. And so Ganymede's gonna bunk down there, but that means that her quarters are her cabin is open, so she's gonna take Zeb to her cabin to bunk down. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I mean that sounds good.
Yeah, so she pulls the door open and it looks like she never left. It is like it looks like a recruiting picture for the Naval Academy. And she says, "It's not much, but but it's comfortable. At least I've always found it to be."
Yeah, I mean, it's probably gonna be more comfortable than the. I've imagined that Zeb, when spending time on here, has probably slept with the crew, probably in the crew quarters. So definitely, I mean, definitely more comfortable than the crew quarters. I'll say that. Um, and I imagine Zeb takes a moment to um, set his stuff down, and makes himself comfortable. And then I think there's probably a moment where he probably looks in his bag. He's still got the cricket gear, right? And um, he finds he probably, just for the sake of it, probably has a cricket ball. And so he finds it and he says, "Heads up," and he like tosses it at Ganymede.
She's surprised for it's a very small space, right? So it doesn't have far to travel.
He's not like hucking
yeah.
it at you full strength. He's just
Yeah,
like
just-
tossing it towards
Yeah.
you.
And but she catches it. Maybe she fumbles it just a touch. And she can't help but smile. You know, she's feeling. You're seeing more of the Ganymede that you know. With things have been at least moving in the right direction with Charles. She says, "Have you ever actually played cricket, Zebulon?"
No, I have not. There was like when we were looking through the newspapers, I kind of read some of the news articles reporting on some of their competitions. It made 0 sense. There was something like 130 runs scored in like a day, and you play for multiple days. I don't understand any of that. Like, and there's something called tests and wickets, and it made no sense whatsoever at all.
Well, like most things that the British find their way into, it's been overly formalized and there are far too many rules for my taste. But I have no doubt that you would excel at it if you were given the chance. I've seen you swing the bat, after all.
Yeah. I played a little ball when I was younger, before I was mostly focusing on football. Zeb looks at you like he's expecting you to throw the ball back at some point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. She tosses it underhand back to you. So kind of an easy toss across the room.
It's like, and funnily enough, I'm pretty sure you'd be pretty good at it if you took it up. And he tosses the ball back.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get a game of catch started here.
Yeah, she's getting it now. She kind of looks at it in her hand for a moment and takes a step back out into the corridor, so there's a little more space between the two of you. And she tosses it back to you with a little more confidence this time and says, I do like winning, Zebulon. I like it very much indeed.
Yeah, I do too. For sure. And I feel you. We were state champions 3 years in a row at my school for football.
Ganymede's heard this story 1,000 times, and every time she loves it.
Then I broke my leg in Peru.
But I wouldn't say this is exactly the same, but we had our share of losses, and they sucked. It always sucks to lose. It is, they always say that, oh man, and people tell you, oh, you played a great game, you had a great game, there's no reason to be sad about the loss. And sure, you played a great game, but it still sucks to lose, especially when you played a great game, because then you feel like you should have won. But the season's not decided by a single loss.
She's been to be perfectly honest, about half toned out when the same old story started again, and she's tired and emotionally weary, and so it takes a moment for it to click for her. And when it does, her eyes meet yours, and she holds out her hands for you to toss the ball back, and she says, "We did play a good game, didn't we?"
Yeah, played it about as well as we could have. And then, I mean, you should have seen the other side. Giants, all of them. Unfair advantage. We still nearly kicked their butts.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I'm sorry that I didn't trust you, Zebulon.
Yeah, that wasn't so much trust as it was caring.
That's exactly right. It was fear. And love. And as I've just finished telling Charles, they are both the enemies of reason.
Yeah, they are. But, I don't think any of us would be here if we didn't have those things.
She steps back into the room, and she has the ball in her hand at this point. And so rather than tossing it back, she just steps back in and hands it to you. And she says, "In the interest of nothing being left unsaid, I love you like a brother, Zebulon. And I'm so grateful that you're here with me, that we're here together as all of this comes to an end."
Yeah, I'm glad to be here too, with all of you. And I want to make sure we all cross that finish line together. Get that championship. And I mean, I've already got 6 sisters, so what's another, you know?
She laughs at that, and she pats you on the arm and turns around, and as she steps over the gunwale and in back and out into the corridor, she turns back and says, "I expect to see those corners just as crisp when I come back in the morning." Pointing at the corners of the bed.
Just kind of snorts. Yes, ma'am. Gives a mock salute. Yeah, exactly.
She gives it back to you and heads off to the stateroom.
And as you all bed down and begin this week and a half of rest and recovery, all of you, as you drift off to sleep, almost like an echo or a delay, a voice most of you have heard before, but I don't think all of you. A voice you've heard say, "Interesting," and I guess we'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. The voice you believe to be that of Moeru comes to you in your dreams. Distant and reverberative at first, and then growing in pitch and fury. "What have you done? What have you done? What have you done?" And that's where we're going to end this episode of Masks of Nyarlathotep. Hey! Join us next week for episode 90, Beginning of the End. I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe that we're here. Okay, let's go around real quick to everybody check in, see how they're doing, plug your things, all that good stuff. Let's start with Tommy.
Ooh, boy, that was a wrap up episode.
Egypt, bow. Throw it on the pile.
Yeah, it's not the nicest bow. We put on something. It looks like probably one of the bows I tie personally, which are not great, but they're functional. But man, that was awesome, and it's always great to see these sort of wrap up, cool down episodes as everyone sort of, all the characters and players sort of, there's a word that I'm forgetting right now, but come to terms with everything is the general idea. And it's always great to have these episodes. And I cannot wait for next week. The big 9-0.
9-0?
I'm Tommy at Imperator Penguin on the Twitter sphere. I do tabletop RPG stuff specifically here, and I do some video editing work. I have commissions open. If you are interested, check out the postie on my Twitter for more details.
Excellent, excellent. Let's head over to Summer.
What a fun time.
Fun time.
So fun.
Good vibes all around.
Such good vibes all around. I'm only an emotional baby all the time now. If you didn't know, I'm 18, nearly 19 weeks pregnant. So I have a good reason, and I'm emotionally invested in my character in this campaign. Okay. Anyway, so such a fun episode. Can't believe that next week is episode 90. Holy shit. Yeah, I am Summer. You can find me on Twitter at It's Just a Summer Job. You can find me on Twitch at Just a Summer Job. That's where I stream most days of the week. I am moving this week, so wish me well. Next time you see me, I will be in my new office. I will no longer be in this space. I will be somewhere else. I'm very excited. Yeah, so thank you so much, everybody. 90.
Amazing.
Fuck off, Egypt. See you never, bitch.
Let's head over to Allison. Hi.
Look, I just gotta say, do you know how few human beings in all of history have had the opportunity to play an RPG campaign that is this long and this good and this well researched and well led and well acted? Do you know what a tiny percentage of human beings that puts us in? That is something that I am so grateful for as we roll into episode 90 and the end game of this Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign. I cannot tell you how grateful, and especially to I love getting to play this game with all of you so much, but to Summer and to Tommy, my scene partners today, I'm going to hold on to memories of both of those scenes for a long time. I adore you all. I thank you also to all of you who gave us gifts and points and advantages and all of those things. We are going to need them so desperately. I cannot wait to see you back here next week. Mwah. So much love.
Beautiful. Kienna, anything to plug, to tell us about?
Oh,
Any
boy.
reactions or responses?
Oh, so good. So good to wrap up, go into a final chapter of this 2-year campaign.
Y'all, we got 10 or less episodes left. Or less.
Absolutely wild. So I'm excited to go into that. I'm excited for everyone to hang out with us as we venture off into Kenya and everything that waits for us there. I'm sure it'll all be good. I'm sure we'll be fine. But You can find me over on Twitter at Kienna S. Best way to figure out what I'm doing when I'm not here on the internet. Please go and check out Archon over on Metal Wave Games if you want to see your cyberpunk stuff. I've got other work open. Hello, please hire me for your game stuff if you want writing. I'm available. Hello. But yeah, otherwise I'll be here next week to do more of this.
Excellent, excellent. And I am Lauren. I have been your friendly keeper. I will be back here next week to start the beginning of the end. Very exciting. You can check us out on Twitter and YouTube at Salty Sweet Games if you ever miss an episode or want to know when we're going live. Thank you to our sponsors, Dice Envy, Grinding Coffee Co., and of course, Roll20. Awesome companies that we work with. Yeah, we're going to be back next week. What else do I have to say? Get ready. Just be prepared because you can't be prepared. So, we'll see you next time. We're going to go raid a friend, send them some love from all of us here at Salty Sweet Games. Thank you all for being with us today, and wave bye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye.